So I'm just going to tell you a little story. And this story may not resonate with some of you. I'm going to talk about my past lives. I'm going to talk about my choice to come here. I'm going to talk to you about history and the history that's been hidden. And I'm also going to talk to you about what I believe the world looks like and how everything is about to open up and change. So, when I first decided to come back to Earth this third time, I've been here 3 times in this current history, I came back and I began to speak to my father. So my father is a walk-in and an artist. So that's why I chose him. And he's also very aware of everything that's going on. So it was a very good place for me to be and to not lose everything during my childhood that most of us lose. Now, I did lose a lot of it, but everything is returning in a huge way. So I met my father and told him that I wanted him to find a woman because I was ready to be born, which is funny. So he was down in Mexico shortly after that, and I was hanging around with him a lot before I was born. And there was a little girl next door, and she could see me. And she said, "Where's the lady in the gold dress?" And Dad said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And she said, "The lady that lives with you." And he said, I live alone. So anyway, she could see me, and I did wear a gold dress, but I don't really remember this. But the reason that I know that is because right before I had my near-death experience, the 3 angels that came to me were all dressed in bronzes and golds. Huge, long robes of silks and beautiful fabric. So I knew that I was part of that group. But anyway, as far as after I was born, I remember being irritated that it had taken them so long, 9 years, to get me born so I could have a body. And I remember feeling very annoyed about it and thinking, well, I could be 8 instead of 3 right now. Why didn't you have me right away? Which is kind of funny. And then later on, my dad told me the story about how long it had been since I contacted him the first time. So, enough about that. So as far as how we prepare or how we have prepared for this lifetime, many of us have had past lives in cult families. And that's how we prepared to know what to do in this lifetime. So to be aware of that and to stay away from it, basically. Because we're here, we are the infiltration group that is here to raise the consciousness, to get as many people as possible to ascend. And they all know who they are when they come in, that they intend to ascend and to be in a higher density and also to be in a higher consciousness, so a higher dimension. So the dimension is the consciousness. The density is basically the weight or the density of your cells together. So a rock is like a second density. And you are a third. Your body is a third density, moving into the 4th density. So most people will say we're moving into the 5th dimension. The dimension isn't the physicality. The dimension is the consciousness. So the 5th dimension is love with wisdom. and also all the gifts that we've been robbed of because our genetics have been messed with will be returned. So, anyway, the first lifetime that I had was in a very royal Greek family, and they were a dark cult family. And the first memory that came to me was in my mid-20s, and I had just watched the movie Troy, which I hated. And I couldn't figure out why I hated it so much. But a few days later, after I saw it, the memories returned. And I remembered my lifetime, and it felt like that movie. It was extremely violent and ugly. And basically, I had two memories, and one of them, I was on a balcony, and I could see everything below me was like this amazing, beautiful garden with hedges and mazes and flowers, and it was just like something you'd see in an English garden for the royal family. But I looked out over this garden and I was just feeling absolutely desolate because I couldn't understand how something so beautiful could even exist and within the same walls of something so ugly, because that was a very ugly experience. And my second memory was me running, and I was running, and it felt like it was about 3:00 in the morning, and I had a torch, and I was running through a long tunnel to get out of what was the castle, but it didn't really look like a castle. It was the royal family's home. And I was running, and I knew if I didn't get out that they would kill me. And it was kind of like a takeover was going on, and someone else was trying to get possession of the royal, the royal situation. I don't remember any crowns or anything like that, but they wanted to be in charge of that country. So I did get away, and that lifetime is documented. It's not documented correctly, but it is documented. So, and then the second lifetime was out on the prairie in the United States. And my father was actually my brother in that lifetime. So that's how I was able to find him again. And he passed very quickly in that lifetime on the prairie. I think he lived until he was about 18. So anyway, here we are now in this lifetime, in this exciting time where everything's about ready to change. And I wanted to talk to you about what we've been living in. So we have been living in a dome, but the dome has been an energetic dome, not a glass dome. And that energetic dome has been giving off lower frequencies to keep our consciousness low. So our DNA has been messed with as well to keep our consciousness low. The rest of the earth has been free this whole time. So we've only been on a small section of the planet. And that's why people believe that it could be flat. But it's not. So as time has gone on in recent time, the people that came, the Orion group, and we'll just call the ETs, so the tall grays, have been trying to grow their dome, or the energy of that dome. They've been trying to open it up further so that they could take over more of the planet. And when they did take it over, this small section, they kicked out the people that had been here. And they were the Tartarian people that we now are starting to learn about. And they are fourth density. So they're already in the fourth density. Their technology is well beyond our technology. Their consciousness is in the fourth density. And it's the fourth density positive. They live happy lives and they live long lives. But there was a tremendous disturbance of the earth in this section. I don't really know how they did it. But what I see from my higher self is like a liquefaction of the earth crust. So it took over a lot of the buildings, and even some of the buildings in my small town. Half of, part of the building is underground. So anyway, when I ask how long that's been going on, the Orion group takeover, and they also took over the reptilian race and enslaved them, which their race is they were a very calm race before that, very underground, not doing much, right? But now they've been taken over by this energy. So this energy that the Orions brought with them is like the Borg from Star Wars. No, not Star Wars. I think it was Star Trek. It's that square, that big black square that goes through the universe. And they wanted to take over the whole planet, but that was affecting other densities. And it was also, not going to be allowed. So that's a big part of why this war has taken place. And I've been holding back this conversation for a while because I didn't think it was time. And something happened yesterday that made me ask again. So, how long have we been in this situation? We've been in this situation for 500 years, and all of history is a lie. So everything we've been told is not true. And we're about to find that out. We're about to find out a lot of what's been going on. I don't think it's going to be held back because we have 2 years that are very paramount, just like the last 2 years. So these 2 years is going to be when everything that is old and doesn't serve is going to crumble. So all the systems that are not working and that were created by the dark will begin their crumbling. Maybe today. But as they crumble, the new systems are going to come up. And I think they've been worked on for a long time. But if people can't accept what is about to happen, if they can't adapt, and if their bodies have not been changing, then they will go. So I know there have been a lot of theories that people would be taken away on spaceships and things like that. But what I usually get is that people will pass. And as they pass, they will go to another third density planet where they can learn more and they can grow more. And they'll be born there. And it won't be as ugly as this has been. This has been an extreme learning experience. So there will be a lot of people